Radio.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rad One Radio. And today I'm really psyched to have with me Lauren Koslow, who everyone knows as Kate Roberts on Days of Our Lives. How are you, Lauren?
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Now, first of all, I just have to say I am loving the Kate and Sammy storylines now. It's your best work ever, I think.
I loved doing this story so much. It's definitely my favorite for my whole time at Days. It's just the culmination of this wonderful relationship that existed between Sammy and Kate, but it's just been a crazy, wild ride, and I love that we got to this place.
It was really funny when Sammy and Kate thought they had murdered Nick and were trying to cover it up, and Sammy said one time, "I like you and I care about you," and then all of a sudden said, "Oh, no, wait, I never said that."
I know. Well, it's kind of interesting because I think for a while now, probably a couple of years, there's definitely been this, I don't know if I could say love-hate, but I guess it is. It's a like-hate. Certainly, I'll talk for Kate. There was a love-hate with Sammy, and I think for a long time, she has, it's almost like she didn't even want to admit it to herself, that she cared. She cared about what happened to her to a degree. She still drives her crazy. She's still, they're frenemies. I guess it's true frenemies.
Yes, that is the perfect word, exactly. And I think they see in each other the things they don't like about themselves.
They know that, It's wonderful how the writers have really allowed the characters to grow and mature in this relationship. And I think also the fact that they are a family, which is ultimately the most important thing to both of them. And now they are, they are family. They are forever bound by that. So that certainly strengthened the loyalty factor for both of them. Not that they're not above betraying each other for business reasons and various other reasons, but still there is this, there is a bond for sure. And the rest of this summer and into the fall is just gonna be a wild ride. We really had a great time doing it, and I hope the audience will enjoy it.
Oh, definitely enjoying it. Everyone on social media is loving it. And it was over a year ago that we were tweeting to try to get you into some more prominent storylines, and obviously they listened.
The audience has been just so fabulous in terms of support, and I really appreciate it, and it's so much fun. We who work on the show are also fans of the show, and enjoy the stories, and we'll have favorite stories, and so it's like we're all in this together, and so I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that support, and we have this story, we have the others, we have a story developing with Jordan's family too. So there's a lot to come. And remember, we're so far ahead, it's hard, because right now we will probably air, I think, in November. So we always have to be very careful when we're talking about what's going on. Luckily, I have been watching, I record the show, so I'm kind of caught up. Yeah, you forget the details, and when you're asked a question, most of the time it's now, please just tell me the scene. Just explain it all to me, and then I'll comment on it, because I really don't remember. But I do remember most of the family stuff, and this is like my favorite part, when we're occupying the Mirror Mansion together. We take over.
I absolutely loved the scenes in the boardroom with Kate and Sammy, and I just could not get enough of them. It just looked like you were having so much fun.
I enjoyed it so much. I really enjoyed their meeting before they go to the board meeting, when they're in the park, the private area, and that whole conversation. I loved those scenes. We worked on them and discussed them. We really worked on them a long time to get the nuances and to really get to this new place, because it is a new place. Sammy and Kate their relationship has definitely evolved, and we wanted, to really be able to share that and for the audience to feel that. And they do have this, this passion for power, the passion for their family. They have so many things. And they're both, tremendous survivors, And actually, they don't give a damn about so much. I mean, they share that too. You know, they're going to do what they want to do, and they're going to, or what they think is right, and you know, they step in it a lot. But it doesn't even matter. They just keep. They don't care what people think. You know, they're not conforming. Either of them are non-conforming. So it's, you know, they share all that, and I think it's true. They always were so much alike that, you know, of course they weren't going to get along. But now they're to a point where I think they always realized that if in some way they were able to work together, they could accomplish so much. And that's what's happening now. Allie and I would get our scripts during this next part that's coming up, and we would be hysterical laughing. You know, and we'll see as it goes. But we just loved it. We loved it. Finally, they actually have these two people who can fight, definitely like cats and dogs, but they're living together now. Yeah, so it's really fun. A lot of times stories are recycled, but there's been so much new on our show, and I think there's so many relationships that have evolved and characters that have transitioned, and you don't always see that, and I'm so excited for that because that's fun for the audience too. I mean, another relationship that has changed a lot that I love is the one between Kate and Lucas, you know, and that's one of my favorite relationships on the show, and I love where they are now. I mean, they love each other to death, but they can totally get into it over any subject, but it's not the way it used to be, where Kate was totally controlling of his life, and he was, you know, forever angry at her. I mean, they're kind of beyond that. It's like they do understand each other, and still they'll come together, and you know, he'll read her the riot act, but it's in a different way now. You know, they're adults dealing with it, and the love is still always there. So those scenes are always fantastic. I love to work with Brian.
I love the scene when Kate and Lucas were sitting in the Brady pub, and she didn't believe him when he said he didn't kill Nick. And of course, she said some things that probably weren't so good for his self-esteem. The fact that she thought Lucas killed Nick wasn't what made her upset. It was that he was sloppy about it, so she wanted to help him cover it up.
She's her best when there's a crisis, for sure, which I think is what we saw with the whole thing with Nick. And I mean, and that's true of Sammy, too. I mean, that's the thing that I think really cemented it for them, that when the whole thing happened with Nick, and the both of them, okay, this is, you know, this is a horrific thing that has happened, but they just get to work, and they just deal with it. And then you have, of course, you know, Gabby, who was totally losing it, and they had to deal with that. But I think that was what really bonded them. Because, you know, it's not very often in life that you find someone who is your equal in terms of that, and, you know, and just getting it done. And they did.
Well, there's no bonding experience like covering up a crime, right?
It's just if you see eye to eye on it. Actually, it's the best coupling, really, that Kate has ever had.
Right? I think perhaps they're probably soulmates deep down. For some reason, I always find myself rooting for Kate, no matter how immoral her actions may be, whether she's covering up a murder or digging into somebody's past and getting their abusive father back into their lives.
It certainly gave, you know, us a chance to have fun with some great material, and then went to a place where we could share this next story that's coming up. So
when people ask me what my favorite soap is, I always say, well, it depends on what's going on which show. And lately, it's been Days, hands down. And I've noticed that since they changed the writers about 2 years ago, it's been spot on. It's been really great.
It's a tough job. So, you know, when people are criticizing writers who, you know, whatever team it may be, it's just, I mean, when you think about how enormous that job is, how difficult, how grueling, you know, it's amazing that it gets done.
I did get a few questions from fans on Twitter, and the first one is from @Caitlin_Pillay. And she wants to know if there are any little teasers you could give away about Kate and Sammy, something that won't get you in trouble. Perhaps something ambiguous, maybe?
Wow, that's always hard. I feel like almost any tidbit could get us in trouble. Plus, I don't like to ruin things for people. Let's see. What do you think? Well, I mean, I think I'll say watch for pajamas.
Watch for pajamas. Okay, I'm just picturing Kate and Sammy having a sleepover with a pillow fight. Okay, the next question is from @SilvaMoonbeam. She's the one who's done some of the videos, like with Kate and Rafe.
Yes, hello.
Vicky.
I recognize. Hi, Vicky.
She wanted to know who are some of your favorite visual artists and or painters.
Oh, boy. I have a lot of them. I'm trying to think of who it... Oh, my God. I'm going kind of... I'd have to really think about that one. I mean, I've always loved Degas, certainly, for one. Goya. Yeah, I love Kandinsky. Oh, I have some, I have to think about it.
Okay, well, we can come back to that. And the next one is from @sweet2717, and she wants to say hello, and are you still taking art classes?
Yes, I am still taking, I do drawing, and with live models. And it's so funny because I've been painting, and I decided to take this class just to get a little more familiar with the human figure. And then now I'm obsessed by it, and I really only meant to do it just for a very, a short time, like a refresher course. And now I am kind of obsessed with it. And it's ongoing. It's ongoing. So I haven't gotten back to painting. I've been mostly drawing. But now I know that's the subject that I want to paint, so that's going to be my subject matter. All
right, now it's time to talk about David Bowie. So I wanted to know what you think about his latest album.
It was good. I was so happy that he produced, that he did it, for sure. I mean, it wasn't as adventuresome as I had hoped for it, but my main disappointment is that he didn't support it by making some appearances, by doing some concerts. I mean, that's disappointing to me. What about you? How do you think?
I pretty much agree with you exactly. But I also know as a songwriter that when you've had such a long-spanning career, you have to take different approaches, otherwise it's going to sound like the same stuff over and over. I do think it's a bit abstract. There weren't really any songs that stood out immediately to me, and it kind of reminded me sort of that Low and Lodger era, which we've talked about before. It's not really our favorites.
That's enjoyable for us to have that reference, but then I want more, really. And I think there could have been more. Maybe there is going to be more. I've heard rumors there's going to be another one. But it's like, can we move forward? I'm a huge fan, so I guess I can say that.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with you. The other day I was listening to Diamond Dogs, and it's always like I can go back to any Bowie album, no matter how many times I've heard it, and I will notice different things in it, and it will inspire me. I do find myself listening to Hunky Dory, Ziggy Stardust, Aladdin Sane, and Station to Station and Diamond Dogs the most, I think. Station
to Station is one of my favorite, because I just love that. That song is one of my favorites. But Diamond Dogs is wonderful. I mean, it's just wonderful. I mean, pretty much there's something on every album that speaks to me, for sure. I'm just a little disappointed, I must say. I mean, I shouldn't be saying this because I was so thrilled when, remember when the news came out that, he was releasing that CD, and it was just, it was wonderful. So I shouldn't have asked for more. Mm-hmm. But I kind of do. I would love to. I guess it's because I never got, I did get to see him sing at the Black Ball, but I never got to see him in concert, and I know, I never got to do that. But I did get to see him sing 2 songs at a...
so you must be super jealous of me because I got to see him in the front row at the Boston Garden.
Yes, I am.
I mean, it was super lucky. How often does somebody win tickets from a radio station? And my friend said, you're the biggest Bowie fan I know, so I have to take you. And I was so amazed.
Josh Taylor, too. Because he was out here in the Santa Monica concert, the Ziggy era, and he actually went to that concert in Santa Monica, which was such an amazing concert. So.
Wow, I'm super jealous now.
Yeah, can you believe that? Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I ever had a time machine, I would so go back and see David Bowie on that tour.
Yeah, I know.
Whenever I put that album on in my car or whatever, I will sing the entire thing from start to finish. I can just imagine you and Josh and Eileen Davidson when she was on the show discussing Bowie behind the scenes.
I mean, and I did say, if there is a concert, we definitely will be there.
So I know that you're a big supporter of animal rescue, which I think is awesome. I love animals, and it's important that people are aware that there are pets out there that need good homes. So why don't you tell us a little about that?
We started with some horse rescue because we had done horses in a sporting way, and in that show world, there's unfortunately, as wonderful as it could be, there's also a lot of abuse and a lot of horses that are just left, after they've finished their work career. So we started rescuing horses. And at one point we had around 8 or 9 of them. We have 4 now. But and then and a lot of them were they were in such terrible condition that honestly we maybe gave them another year of life, but and at least it was a good year. But they were so debilitated, they ended up dying. So in that it kind of expanded to dog rescue, and I'm continuing to. We rescued quite a few dogs, and then I started working with a local group that actually rescues pit bulls from the area's shelter. I think a lot of people know that a lot of the animal shelters are filled with chihuahuas and pit bulls, and it's really difficult. So I always encourage people, if they're thinking about getting, a pet, first think about it as you're getting a pet for it's, it could be you're looking at the next 12 to 15 years perhaps of being responsible for an animal, and so think about that. Are you ready to do that? And then think about obviously adopting. Avoid puppy mills, avoid pet shops if you can. Although sometimes I feel like almost that's a rescue if you're there. But unfortunately, if you're getting one of those puppies, they immediately replace it from a puppy mill. Older dogs can just be great dogs to adopt. They're already housebroken in most cases, and you don't have to worry about the running around, the chewing, the whole thing. So I would urge people to consider an adult dog.
Yeah, it's a good point what you brought up about pit bulls. They have such a bad rap because the media is always reporting stories where a pit bull attacks someone, and they're owned by these crack dealers who train them to attack, or they abuse them so that these poor dogs are just mistreated and they get mean, but they can be the nicest dogs. My cat has hung out with a pit bull, and she's been totally cool with it. It's amazing. I mean, the pit bull could have eaten her with one bite, but she knew better, and they were total friends.
No, pit bulls are just very, very intelligent. They're bred not to interact with humans in an aggressive way, because they were used for fighting, at one point in their history, and even happens now. But anyway, they are bred not to be human aggressive, and it's really only when they're mistreated. And to a degree, I've talked to people who rescue, and they say that it's almost like throwing them in the backyard and having no human contact. Is so cruel for them because they really crave human contact. So to a degree, they kind of go. They just lose it. Because they become depressed and the whole thing. So they're definitely people dogs, and it is very sad that they have this reputation right now, which I think is unwarranted for sure.
Have you ever adopted a greyhound that can no longer race?
I have. Yes, I rescued a greyhound. Yes, they're amazing. Have you done that?
I haven't really had a place where I could have dogs, but I've always said if I could, I would definitely get a greyhound because they're such nice dogs, and it's really sad that once they're done racing, they just toss them aside like they're not even living creatures. Yeah,
they're definitely not a dog you just want to throw in your backyard. They kind of love just hanging around, so you don't need a lot of space for them. They are a dog that, obviously you want to walk them regularly and all of that, but they're more than happy just to curl up and hang out with you, especially, the retired racers. They're very cool dogs, but they can run, man. If you let them off the leash, they're not trained to come back.
Yeah, my cat was a rescue. Got her when she was 2, and she had spent a lot of time on the streets of Boston. Got pregnant when she was 6 months old, and you would think that an animal with that experience would be shy and not so friendly, but she is the exact opposite. I mean, she loves being around people. She's like a dog. She comes when she's called, and people who say they don't like cats, they meet her and they love her.
Oh yeah, cats. I know for sure. No, I love cats too. I mean, yeah.
Is there a particular charity that you can recommend to people if they're interested in donating and helping this cause?
There is one. I can get all of the information to you. Their initials are CARL. They are amazing. It's all they're online, and that's what you could just Google them at that Carl, and it's all volunteer, and they rescue dogs from the shelters, and they put them in foster homes, and they're an amazing organization, and then they place them, and that's where I got Boomer. And if anyone follows me on Twitter or Facebook, you've seen pictures of Boomer, and they're really just amazing, and they do amazing work, and so sure, I would love it if people would look them up.
I saw a piece on the local news about the animal shelter in my county, and it's actually one of the few non-kill shelters in Central Florida. So my heart was breaking, and I decided I'm going to volunteer some time. And, if people can't afford to give money, they can definitely give their time, which is just as helpful.
I know. I definitely, agree with you, and it's, and just, a small amount of help, it does enormous good. So, I encourage everyone to do that. I mean, like you're doing. I mean, volunteering your time is huge. I mean, it's a huge thing. I mean, our local shelter, you'll see the volunteers there, and it's a huge help.
So on a completely different subject, the Daytime Emmys this year were, well, let's just say different, and some people thought they were a bit racy.
It seemed rather controversial, didn't it?
Yeah, it seemed like people reacted rather strongly one way or the other. I was curious what you thought about it, and also love to hear more about the fashion review you did.
To me, it's a little slightly juvenile to think, okay, we're not televised, so, how raunchy can we be? I mean, really? That was a little bit disappointing to me. I mean, in terms of the fashion review, I feel like it definitely does seem like a different type of event now. To me, it's not as much of a glamorous event or a formal event. So in terms of fashion, that starts to affect what you've decided, what you wear to an event like that. To me, it has more of a, not even a Golden Globes vibe. I mean, it's not as formal a vibe to that. So I'm starting to think now that it's more of a cocktail party. Maybe it should be a cocktail party. And so that was my thought, going into it. But we'll see. Maybe next year it will be a little different. Definitely, they seem like they're in transition. And figuring out what kind of events they're going to end up being. So, and also, for me, I kind of think those awards, I mean, there's a lot of other daytime shows, but I feel like the people who are watching the Emmy Awards show are people who watch daytime dramas. I mean, I'm not sure that and maybe those people watch game shows too and watch the talk shows.
Well, you looked amazing. That dress was very elegant and just unique. I thought you looked awesome.
It was very cool, and it's a really cool company. They're online, and it's really fun, and people can rent a gown, a couture gown, and you have it for 4 days. And they send it to you, and you can rent accessories and purses. I mean, it's very cool, and so I was really happy to represent for them, and it was a very cool dress. I really liked it.
Well, you looked amazing, and you have great fashion sense. It's totally unique to you, and you always look good. Do you think that the reason for the change in the Daytime Emmys is partly because there are fewer soaps on the air, and maybe they're not taken as seriously, or they don't have as much meaning as they used to? And do you think that perhaps they should be included with something else, like maybe the SAG Awards or something?
Yeah. In all honesty, I think maybe it's time for there to be a new type of award, whether that would be a separate division or a separate show. But I think maybe that's what I'd like to see that happen. And I think maybe, yeah, and that would be a whole different kind of award and ceremony. And also, I just think it makes more sense, actually, now, considering the shows that we have, and I just think it has changed so much.
I agree with you 100%. I was actually thinking that they should perhaps have a category and some other kind of acting awards where they have, best actor, best actress in a daytime drama, and so forth for the other categories, because it doesn't seem to have as much weight as part of the Daytime Emmys anymore.
Right, and best show, it's the same thing. I think that's the way to go with it. I just don't know if the Emmy thing really works for daytime anymore. I think it would make more sense to have it within the union.
That is a brilliant idea, and I am totally on board, so we should email, tweet, or write to whomever and see what they think.
Oh, good. Let's make it happen. We'll keep talking about it.
Okay, well, everyone can follow you on Twitter at Lauren Koslow, and then there's your fan account, which is run by Marie, and that's at The Land of Koz, Koz. And Marie is just awesome. She's a great person. There's always contests and events and live chats, and I love Marie. She's great.
Yeah, she really is. She really is responsible for that. So.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with me today, and it's always a pleasure to talk with you, Lauren, because, you're my fellow Pisces David Bowie fan, born in Boston. So I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing more Kate and Sammy scenes.
Thank you, Rob.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Well, guys, I want to thank you all for listening, and if you don't already watch Days of Our Lives, I highly recommend it. Currently, it's my favorite soap. I kind of go through phases, but Days has just been consistently great, and Lauren is such an awesome person. She's a great actress, so down to earth, as you could tell from listening. So, obviously, you're probably a soap fan if you're listening to the show. So if you don't watch Days of Our Lives, I highly suggest DVR it, watch it online if it conflicts with one of your other shows, and you won't be disappointed. Until next time, peace.
This is Round One Radio.